Hey everybody, welcome back and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch Hello Good Game. Today, we'll be visiting a STRIXHAVEN Witherbloom midrange theory craft that I've thrown together. I think this deck will be performing quite nicely within opening day. I'm really looking forward to playing it. We'll also be revealing a brand new competition for the community to take part in. Win yourself some money, get some cosmetics, some gems, whatever you want. Through Great Viking Games. So stay to the end to learn more about that. And for now, let's break down this Witherbloom midrange deck. Of course, STRIXHAVEN is still a few days away. It will come out to everybody on Arena on the 16th, and I believe there will be a pre-release event just before that on the 14th and 15th. So we are looking down the shantytown of a potential 9 to 10 days away, as today is the 5th. So as we get closer, I'll be bringing you guys one new deck every single day to kind of shift our mindsets now to what this new meta could be, so you're not scrambling on day one. Looking at this deck, it's a mid-range deck within Golgari colors. This will be known as Witherbloom within STRIXHAVEN. We have a lot of really cool features in the deck, like pests, gaining life. There's sacrifice effects in here as well. But maybe we'll just break down each card and then we'll talk about everything afterwards. I know this isn't the typical view that we'll use, but it's going to be best for us today. We start the deck out with 4 copies of Archfiend Vessel, a 1/1 with lifelink. Whenever it enters the battlefield, if it entered from the graveyard or if you cast it from the graveyard, exile it. When you do, create a 5/5 black creature with flying, right? That will be a demon creature type, not that it's relevant, but a 1/1 with lifelink, that's great, and we can also bring it back later as that 5/5, and that's going to be really important to us. So both of the Lifegain is a strategy within the deck, and the recursion of creatures from the grave. Moving on to our second spell here, another 1-drop, 2 copies of Fortifying Draught. At instant speed, you gain 2 life. Target creature gets +X until the end of turn, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. This could be quite substantial, as most of our deck does revolve around life gain. Unfortunately, a fair bit of that life gain is through combat damage, and the +X will not really, come into play so much there. Moving on, we do have a single copy of Malakir Rebirth. Now, we talked about that recursion from the grave. The Rebirth is an MDFC land, so coming in tapped if we want it to early game. If not, at instant speed for 1, choose target creature, you lose 2 life, and until the end of turn, that creature gains. Whenever this creature dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, tapped, which is quite nice. Moving forward, we have 2, 3, 4 copies of Valentin, Dean of Vane. This is a good card. Menace, lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 1/1 black-green pest with when it dies, you gain 1 life. This is very, very good. And on the opposing side of this, which I don't know why we can't see it, let me just jump out here to the deck list. We'll show you that really quick. Visual, open up the Dean, flip it over. We have Lizette, Dean of the Root for 4 mana, a 4/4, and whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain Trample until the end of turn. That's absolutely amazing, and we're going to be taking full advantage of that Trample trigger, and the +1/+1 counters are just quite a lot of fun as well. Maybe we'll just leave it in this view here. So we talked about the Vessel, we talked about the Dean, and we talked about the Fortifying, we talked about Rebirth. Infuse with Vitality, I believe we have 3 copies of this in deck. Instant speed, until end of turn, target creature gains Death Touch, and when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. You gain 2 life. This is absolutely amazing. We can be bringing things back to the field under our control, and we can also be using that creature to remove something of our opponents with the Death Touch, whether it be on a block or an attack that they think they can deal with. We'll get the trade, and then ours comes back, plus we gain life, which is quite a bit of fun. Moving on, we have 4 copies of Witherbloom Command for 2 mana at sorcery speed. Choose 2. Target player mills 3 cards, then you return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with converted mana value 2 or less. You know, this could be something like Maze Mind Tome. Target creature gets -3/-1 until end of turn. Target opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. So for 2 mana, getting to choose 2 of those abilities just seems incredibly powerful. And you know, we've got the loss of life and the gaining of life. That's great. We can deal with indestructible through the -3/-1. We can remove things, you know, like a Omen that Yorion will bounce, or a Tome, something like this. I'm sure there's more that we're not thinking of yet. And of course, you know, just milling and grabbing a land is always a good idea as well. Tend the Pests at instant speed for 2. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Create X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens with whenever this creature dies, you gain 1 life, where X is the sacrifice creature's power, right? So we will sacrifice big old creatures to make a ton of pests, and you know, that's going to be a lot of fun for us because the deck does revolve around those pests. Hunt for Specimens, 2 CMC still, sorcery speed, create a 1/1 black and green pest. When this dies, you gain 1 life. That's great. Plus it also has Learn, which is actually really, really cool, because when we learn, we can take a lesson card from our sideboard into our hand, and we will talk about that because we've incorporated a best of 1 sideboard for you guys as well. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Blex, the Vexing Pest. Legendary creature, pest, 3/2, and other pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders you control get +1/+1. We have a pest token deck, and we can increase, you know, the strength and toughness of those with this. When the Vexing Pest dies, we're going to gain 4 life as well. So, you know, that's a lot of value for 3 mana. We have 2 copies, I believe, of the Sedgemoor Witch, a 3/2 with menace and ward, which means they have to pay 3 life to target it. Woo! Those are some big backfires. It also has Magecraft, and whenever you cast, copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with whenever this creature dies, you gain 1 life, you know, which is really, really quite cool. Moving on, we've got 2 copies of the Callous Bloodmage, also for 3, a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1, create a 1/1 black and green pest. When it dies, you gain 1 life. Draw a card, then you lose 1 life, or exile target player's graveyard. So a lot of utility within the Bloodmage, and I think that's going to be seeing a lot of play into the future. 4 copies of Mortality Spear, and this spell does cost 2 less to cast if you've gained a life this turn. It's typically a 4 CMC, but you can cast it for 2, and we do have a lot of life gain in the deck, even just through the Death of Pests. Destroy target non-land permanent. So just like, you know, wiping anything off the field. We talked about the Tend of the Pests to sacrifice a creature. We have Daemogoth Titan for 4 mana at 10/11. Very strong. So it's going to be a 10 pests you make. Is it equal to its power? Yeah. So we'll make 11 pests, which is great. And of course, when it attacks, we'll have to sacrifice a creature, and we can easily sacrifice another pest. But potentially sacrificing the Titan itself to make so many pests, it's going to be really, really good. And then, of course, we have to have a copy of Beledros Witherbloom, 4/4 flying for 7 mana. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. When it dies, you gain 1 life. We can pay 10 life to untap all lands we control, activating this only once each turn, so you can do it on your turn and your opponent's turn, which is pretty nasty. You know, 23 lands to fill out the deck. We've got the temples here because we're not playing too fast, only 2 of them. We have the brand new Snarls here, which I think are going to be absolutely amazing. I miss Shock and Check lands, and this gives us an option to play those dual color lands again. And then, of course, we do have the Pathways, which are great, but again, they're only 1 color at a time, filling it up with the basic land here. Looking at the sideboard, which consists of all Learn cards, which we can pull from our sideboard with Hunt for Specimens. We have 2 copies of Environmental Sciences, and now this is a colorless lesson available within all decks. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 2 life. Why not? It's something. 2 copies of Pest Summoning. For 3 mana, create 2 1/1 black and green pests. When they die, you gain 1 life. 2 copies of Containment Breach. 3 mana, sorcery speed, destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana value was 2 or less, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. When it dies, you gain 1 life. 2 copies of Basic Conjuration. Sorcery speed for 3. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You gain 3 life. 2 copies of Necrotic Fumes. For 3 mana, as an additional cost to cast this spell, exile a creature you control, and then we'll exile target creature or planeswalker of our opponents. And we can easily exile a pest, right? 2 copies of Introduction to Prophecy for 3 mana. Sorcery speed, scry 2, then draw a card. You know, I absolutely love that. Again, colorless, available to all of the decks within the Learn. So we'll see both Environmental Sciences and Introduction to Prophecy quite a bit, at the very minimum, through the Learns to grab lessons. But there's a lot going on here within the deck. We come up, take a look at the average mana cost, 2.43. It does recommend 24 lands, but you know me, always running it a little lean. And the spread of green to black is fairly, uniform. There's a little bit more black here, but at the end of the day, that's okay. The deck's strategies and synergies is to really just outpace your opponent. There's plenty of removal here. There's plenty of way to get our creatures back, and we can, go quite wide with these pest creature tokens, and we can use stuff like the Vexing Pest to increase the power and toughness of those alongside the backside of the Dean, right? When we flip this over, whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures can gain trample, right? So all of those pests that we'll be making are going to go from 1/1s to 2/2s. The Vexing Pest comes in play. Now they're 3/3s. We gain more life. They're all 4/4s now. We've got Daemogoth in play. We sacrifice that. We make 11 more of them, right? We've got 20 5/5 pests, and we hit our opponent. So that's kind of how I want this deck to play and run. Of course, there is the opposing deck that's always going to get in the way of that. But at the end of the day, we're fairly balanced, right? We have our own strategy. We have, protection from that with the Infuse of Vitality. We also have the Mortality Spear kind of to remove everything, and the commands just kind of fill the void. So I'm really liking the new decks here so far. We'll go back into the gallery here. Now that we've talked about it, we can just take a pretty look at everything all at once. And it's a little bit easier to wrap our minds around. So yeah, it's the Vexing Pest. The pests get +1/+1. The Demigod gets sacrificed through the Tend the Pests. That creates a whole slew of them. And of course, we could even, for 4 mana, be using something. Where is it? It's not. Oh, it is infused with Vitality. We could infuse with Vitality for 2 mana, Tending Pests for 2 mana, kill the Daemogoth Titan, create the 11 pests, plus have the Titan come back, and now he's got a ton of pests to sacrifice, and we increase the strength and power of them all, plus all the life gain in the deck. So, I do think that it feels fairly good. Of course, this is just theory crafting, and there could be a long ways to go here till perfection. So what would you guys change about the deck? How would you make it a little bit better? Because I think that there's always room to improve, right? I'm never, making the world's greatest decks on my first attempt, but I always do try my best. So this is my best Witherbloom deck. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe got some new ideas flowing for yourself within Witherbloom colors. Now, I talked about a new competition that we're starting. And every set, we're going to be doing a deck building competition. The winner's going to win themselves $50 towards Grey Viking Games, and there's plenty of stuff you can spend that on through MTG Arena codes for cosmetics and packs and stuff like this. So that'll be fun, and to participate, all you have to do is make a deck on AetherHub just like this and share the link to the Discord, right? And then the community will vote on all of the decks that are produced for the competition. The winner will get themselves a nice prize, right? So do your best to make the deck and capture people's attention. There is no rules on what kind of deck it needs to be, jank, competitive. It's basically going to be whatever the community decides. So do try to make a crowd pleaser, I suppose, if you're looking to win that $50. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video today. I think we're chilling in the top 50 mythic still, which is a lot of fun. And to take my foot off the gas a little bit, I'm going to be doing one gameplay footage video, one deck breakdown in mythic for you guys. And then we're going to either be doing a theory crafting video just like today's, or we'll be doing, you know, brawl, historic, something like this, right? So thanks again for your support. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Support financially on Twitch, Patreon, YouTube, through our affiliate links like Amazon, Great Viking Games, Into the AM. Lots of cool stuff there. And you can download Magic Gathering Arena Assistant for free to help support as well. All of the links, whether it be for the support or the giveaways, the free entry competitions, you know, the tournaments that we do and stuff as well. Everything's going to be in the Linktree link. It's in the description below, or you can easily Google Hello Good Game Linktree to find out more. So this was my Strixhaven Witherbloom midrange deck. You know, I'm really enjoying it so far, or at least the idea of it in my mind. I feel like we're just going to be smashing people with a huge army of pest tokens, but what do I know? That could blow up in our face. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you soon in the next video.